The Heritage Pioneers will open their season on August 24th when Joe Favero and the Magna Vista Warriors come to town this past week. I had a chance to catch up with Heritage coaches to preview the team. Let's first start with John Meadows. He talks about the Heritage defense. Coach Meadows, defensive coordinator for Coach Bradley, had this to say about the defense.
John Meadows and the Heritage Pioneers getting ready to get the season underway here in just about a week or so. Magna Vista will be the first opponent. Coach Meadows in charge of the defense and special teams. And Coach, what's got you excited about this defense?
Well, we got a lot of people that will fly around, a lot of team speed, and that's what we want here. We want people to fly around and hit you, and great team speed.
Talk about the trust that Coach Bradley's given you to kind of let you run this defense, and that's a pretty big responsibility when you're working for that man.
Well, the good thing about it, when I first started working with him, this is my fourth year working with Coach Bradley, him and I both had ran the 53, and we were very similar, just a couple of differences. So we sat down, we met for hours, and we found out our philosophies were very much alike, so we went hand in hand, and he's trusted me with the defense, which I really appreciate, and we've worked well together.
Talk about some of your kids on defense that you expect to stand out, and maybe if they don't stand out, some kids have to do the little things for you guys to get some W's.
Well, no doubt one of them that's already standing out to us is Andrew Griffin. He last year was playing and he messed his knee up, missed most of the season. He came back this year, started off with 7-on-7, was a little timid at first. I went up to him, told him, said, Andrew, you got to trust that knee. Once he started trusting that knee, he made some great gains. Was becoming one of our better linebackers. We see that we needed him on the defensive line. He went down to the defensive line, and he's playing some great ball right now. We also have Shawnee Rosser playing one of our corners. Shawnee Rosser went to a competition this year, weightlifting competition, and power clean 280, and that's pretty impressive for a corner. He'll do anything you ask of him. We got several guys, and that's one thing that we talk about is we talk about trust. We got 11 guys that'll trust the guy beside him, and when you're doing that, you're going to be okay.
How have you felt that the learning curve has come in terms of guys knowing what they need to do, and rather than in terms of just using athleticism to make plays?
Well, the good thing about it with the new rule from the VHSL is we were able to implement our system earlier in the year, by being able to practice. And that helped us a lot. So a lot of the learning curve came along in the spring of the year, and we had, I think Coach Bradley said we had 12 7-on-7s. So, our guys that were in the skill positions, they already had the concepts down of what we want to do, and then of course once we brought the linemen in there, we got them called up, and right now there's still little things we've got to work out. We start for a game plan next week, but the learning curve wasn't bad due to the preseason practice.
You also deal with the special teams. What makes them special in your minds?
Well, that was one of my first coordination jobs when I was here, and this is the first time I've coached at Heritage for 10 years, but when I first started coaching here, I actually coordinated the special teams under Pim Apperson, and I take great pride in them because that's a third of the game, and a lot of your special teams, they're going to cover more than 1 or 2 yards. They're going to cover 30 and 40 yards, and you got to put an emphasis on that, and we're not going to sacrifice special teams. We're going to put our best players out there and make sure we get the job done.
In terms of, with Heritage being a bigger AA school, how do you feel the kicking punting game is in terms of it? Is it kind of soccer converted, if you know what I mean? Do you have kids that know how to kick the ball, or is it kind of you're teaching those kids how to kick?
Well, we're always inviting soccer kids out to come and kick for us. Now, one thing that I've always found in the past, and especially in high school football, a lot of times you'll have a kid who's not really punted but has a powerful leg. And I think we found that this year. We do have a couple kids that are I think we've got 3 soccer kids out now that are working on field goals, and they're doing a great job. But right now, our punting position is probably going to be from one of our skilled players who has a powerful leg, not the greatest form in the world, but he's got a strong leg.
Final thing, you talk about you having pride in special teams. How important is it that you convey it to those guys? Because I know a lot of times in special teams, those guys, that might be 1 or 2 the only times those guys are going to see the field on a Friday.
Well, that's what I say. They got to take pride, and when they're called up anytime, and we make the kids understand, anytime they cross that white line that the game is on, the game speed picks up, and they've got to take pride in their position. If they're in there for one play, they got to have pride for that one play. If they're in there for 10 plays, they got to be ready to go. So anytime they step across that white line, and we started preaching that white line early in the year when we was even in the weightlifting room. We've got a little line that they've got to cross, and they understand when they cross that line in the weight room that everything's got to turn up a notch, and that's the same thing we expect on the field. As soon as they cross that line, it's got to turn up a notch, and take pride and trust in the guys that are beside you.
Coach, thanks for your time. Best of luck this season.
All right, thank you a lot, man.
Romero Morgan, he's a Heritage alum, 1997 graduate. He's coaching the running backs and the tackles and nose tackles for the Heritage Pioneers. T&T is how they put it on the defense, tackle, nose tackle. Coach Morgan shares his thoughts on the running backs and his group of T&Ts on the defense here on the Sports Buffet podcast.
Brad Bradley's got him a good one coaching the running backs and the defensive ends. Let's talk about the running backs, though, with Romero Morgan, coach here with the Heritage Pioneers. Coach, when you get the running backs as a whole, what's one of the first 2 or 3 things you want to get them to learning as quick as possible?
Just make sure they have the fundamentals, handling the ball. We got to have ball control. Also, being able to switch hands, and ball security is the biggest thing.
How much did with the new rules by the VHSL, how much did that help you get the running backs adjusted quicker than you could have, say, had we not had those rules?
Agility really helped us out with that balance, being able to work extra on those type of things.
Talk about the kids that you have in your offensive backfield at running back.
First, we have Lane. He's a powerful runner. Also, is a good blocker. Rod Hammond, same characteristics. Moore can catch out the backfield. He's a blocker and a hard runner. We got a 10th grader, Frankie Hickson, he's a promising. He's showing that he's going to have a bright future ahead of him. They all run hard and have pretty good feet and balance.
Obviously, it's important for running backs to run, but it's also important that they can throw a block here or there. How much do you kind of convey that to them? It's not, you still got to work when you're not touching the football.
Right. That's the first thing. Most of our offense, they probably won't get a whole lot of carries, so they will be pretty much blocking back. So they have to be able to block. Defensive linemen, linebackers, no matter size, cornerbacks and safeties. So they have to be ready for contact.
Romero Morgan, defensive coach for Heritage. He takes the tackles and the nose tackles. Coach, early impressions so far. We're about 2 weeks in. What do you think of them?
Oh, we are a little bit. We're feisty. Not the biggest group, but we're quick, we're fast, and we're aggressive. The guys that we have Andrew Griffith. He's converted from a couple of different positions. He played quarterback as a youngster. So he's undersized as a defensive lineman, but you wouldn't be able to tell by his play. We also have Josh Huckabee, who plays center for us, which he played as a sophomore on the D-line. So he's got that experience under his belt. Tough guy. And we have Yusuf Poindexter. Yusuf is coming off an injury right now, but he's recovered and he's stepped in and he's showing toughness and skill at that position.
When we talked earlier about the offense, we talked about if the running backs don't have the ball in their hand, they still got to play. In terms of the tackles, if they're not, blitzing or doing something along those lines, how important is it, too, that you still get them in the mindset of you just can't stand around and watch?
Oh, yeah, we're going to be ball hawks. They're definitely going to be ball hawks. We're trying to get 11 men to that ball on every play.
What's the one thing you want to improve on most with your tackles right now?
Getting off blocks, making sure we use our hands very well. Just making sure that we get our hands on them first before they get their hands on us, because we want to control them, not let them control us.
Coach, appreciate your time. Best of luck this year.
All right, thanks.
Brad Bradley has a first this year, a first in terms of a player from William Campbell that's played for him that's now coaching for him, Danny Broggin. He's coaching the quarterbacks and the DBs. Danny Broggin shared his thoughts on his troops right here on the Sports Buffet podcast.
Talking to Danny Broggin, obviously he's got some experience with Brad Bradley back to the playing days. Before we get into the specialty positions here that you coach, how is it coaching with him as opposed to playing for him?
Oh, it's way different. It's way different coaching with him than playing for him. He looks at me like an adult now, and I'm a part of his staff. I'm very thankful to be a part of the program, be a coach. He called me actually when I was in college and told me, it was like, if there's something you want to do, when you're done with school, I'm going to give you a call. And he stuck to his word, and I'm having a blast. I'm just going with the flow right now, learning as much as I can underneath him.
And he's talked about giving you a lot of responsibility, kind of like he gave Coach Hamlet back in the William Campbell days. How important is it to get that responsibility and when you're still a first-year coach?
Oh, man, it's a lot on my plate, but just coming from where I come from, playing for him, I know the offense, I know the defense, nothing I can't handle. I got some great guys that I'm coaching. Javante Parrish, he's a student of the game. He knows, he understands a lot, picks up on a lot really quick. Jameek Alexander's a really talented kid. He has a little ways to go, but he's going to get it. Mr. Comer, Perry Comer, kid that we have also, he's an extreme athlete. He's young, though. He knows it, but he's just young. All three of those kids, they make my job really easy.
What do you see in Javante Parrish that you're maybe surprised to see at this point in the season, if you get what I'm saying? Maybe somewhere he's exceeded.
Definitely. What I see from him that just surprises all the coaches is how quick he's picked up on offense. Like I said, he's a student of the game. He grasped the offense and he ran with it. There's never something that just comes out and surprises him. He wants the whole playbook. He don't just want a little bit here, a little bit there. He wants the whole playbook because he's really, really prideful in the sense that he wants to show people he can learn. He can learn it right now.
And you talked about the other guys earlier. Talk about how important is it to be Javante's understudy of, those guys might be called at any moment if Javante goes down, God forbid.
Oh, yeah, I tell him, watch Javante. However many passes he complete, you try to complete one more. It's all about competition, especially with them two young guys. It's competition. Don't look at Javante as a starter and you as the backup. Look at y'all as equal roles. When you go out there to practice, it's you versus him. All three of them there in constant competition with each other. Brought the best out of each one of them.
One thing that impressed me about you back in the high school days is I cannot remember what game it was, but you didn't have a great game in terms of statistics. I think you completed like 5 passes, and Coach VA at the end of the game was kind of giving you a hard time, and you said, but we won, didn't we? And that's the name of the game. Talk about, getting that point across of it's not what your numbers look like, but it's what that number on the scoreboard looks like.
Well, I'll never forget that game. Very first game of my senior season, Kaiser, West Virginia. It was raining. There was a lot going on. Didn't have a great game. I think I might have completed 3 of 13, but I think I ran the ball pretty well. But at the end of the game, we had a victory, and that's all that matters. And that's the name of the game, win, win, win. We don't care how we win as long as we win. We don't care who's completing the passes as long as the passes are getting complete. So that's what I tell my guys. It's not about you individually. It's about the team. That's why we wear a slogan, we over me. We over me. That means team over everything. Team over everything. Whatever it takes for the team to win, that's what we're looking for.
Coach, before we get into talk about the DBs, one thing that I think that you can play a strength that no other coach can play a strength is you play for Brad Bradley. So Coach Bradley's getting on a kid pretty hard. You can kind of be that guy to reach out to him and be the middleman, so to speak. Talk about that role.
Oh, yeah, Coach Bradley, he's changed a lot. He's changed in a sense where he's more laid back, if you want to say. He'll still get it fired up. He'll get in the athletes behind, say so. But sometimes I even ask him, Coach, let me talk to him first. And when I go talk to him, I don't tell them anything that Bradley's not going to tell him. I tell him in a sense, he's about to jump your butt, but don't take it personally. I've been there. I've done that. He loves you. He'll do anything for you. He's going to coach his behind off. So all he wants is for you to play your behind off for him in return.
How much did 7-on-7 help the DBs, you think?
Well, it helped us out a lot because Coach Meadows, great coach, bringing in certain coverages that they weren't very familiar with at first, but just having it all spring, all summer camp, they seem to know it pretty well going into the season. So it's all about repetition, banging in their brain every single day, blue, 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 whatever else we want to run. So that's all they know right now. They got the coverage pretty well.
Talk about your crew at defensive backs and tell me what makes each one of them special.
Oh, we got a Shawnee Rosser, big corner. Big physical corner. We like for him to play up close in your face. He's a physical kid. He likes to tackle. It's rare to see a receiver block him since he's so big and physical. Then we got Taquante Sims, number 10. He's more of a quick, elusive kid. Can cover the ball. Has great ball skills. Really extreme athlete. Really great feet because he plays soccer. Then we got DeMonte Elliott back deep, a.k.a. the Predator. Kid hits. He's not scared of anything. He'll run through a brick wall if that's what it takes for the team to win. Got great cover skills. Cover the field, sideline and sideline, and he's pretty smart. All of those kids are pretty smart. But I also have 3 kids behind them. Austin Fitzgerald, he comes up, he hits, he lays lumber. He's really agile. He's really smart. Then I got Javante Parrish, quick as a cat. He's probably one of the better DBs in the area. But he won't see a lot of time at DB because he's our quarterback. But I put my hands down. He's probably one of the better DBs in the area. And then we have Antoine Comer. He's a young guy, up and coming. Great feet. great will to win, great will to get better. So those 3 coming off the back, I got 6 guys that I can play with every Friday night.
I think you're a very modest guy, but I'm going to give you a chance to brag here a little bit. What do you feel like you learned from Liberty University that's making you a good football coach right now?
Oh, I learned hard work always pays off. No matter what's going on, I got a kid on defense, Sean Garland, played as a freshman. Didn't learn the playbook as well as he should have right now. He's coming off the bench behind the guy, but he's rotating now. I was telling him all summer, keep working, keep grinding, show him that you're in shape, show him that you're going to do whatever it takes to play, show him whatever you're going to do whatever it takes for the team to win. Put the team in front of you for a little while. And he's been doing it all summer. Had an awesome game on offense and defense last week against GW. And I told him, and he came up to me after the game and said, thanks, Coach Broggin, for not giving up on me. Thanks for keeping encouraging me, because what you said is true. So I tell my kids all the time, hard work will pay off. So put the time in when nobody's looking, and when everybody's looking, it'll pay off.
Coach, best of luck all season.
Thank you.
John Earich has been with Brad Bradley for as long as I've known him. Coach Earich was an outstanding line coach for Coach Bradley in his other 3 stops at William Campbell, Amelia, and Patrick Henry. Coach Earich tells me what he likes about this group of Heritage Pioneers, offensive and defensive line, on the Sports Buffet podcast.
Brad Bradley's right hand for many years now has been John Earich, the offensive line and defensive line, as well as the head assistant coach for the Heritage Pioneers now. And Coach, I know obviously, like Coach Bradley, I'm assuming that you're loving being back in the Lynchburg area. Talk about the early transition here to Heritage.
Well, I love being back in Lynchburg. I lived here for a long time while I was coaching at William Campbell. And it's always good to be back coaching with John Meadows, a.k.a. the librarian. It's good to be back with him again. Transition for me is easy. Kids are kids. And, you got to develop a relationship with the kids. And I'm doing that, for a while there. It took me a while to learn some of their names because there are so many kids out here. And I'm not really used to having this many kids on a football team. But we're getting there. And the kids have improved 100% from day one. And I'm really proud of them.
Talk about some of your O-line members that you expect big things from and just solid play this year.
Okay, my left tackle will probably be Jonathan Meadows. He's young. He'll be a junior this year. I'm looking for some leadership out of him. My center is Josh Huckabee. He does a great job on both sides of the ball. He's also a nose guard. We moved the receiver, Andrew Griffin, to guard, and he was all for it. He said anything I can do to help the team, and we moved him to left guard, and he stepped in and done a tremendous job on both sides of the ball because now he's a down lineman. And he also was a linebacker, and he's performed really well in the first scrimmage and in practices. My right guard is going to be Daniel Brooker. Daniel's a smart kid, and he probably knows everybody's position on the offensive line. So, if anybody has a problem, they can go to Daniel and ask him, who do I need to block or what do I need to do on this, and he can tell them. My right tackle is going to be Yusuf Poindexter. He was hurt. He hurt his knee earlier in the season and missed the first scrimmage. But I'm looking for big things from him. Yusuf's got a lot of potential, and right now I'm just trying to work him into game shape. I think he's going to be an outstanding lineman for me.
When you get an offensive line and you're being a first-year coach at a new school, is there anything that can be a stupid question coming from a line, or even if it is stupid, hey, ask now?
No such thing as a stupid question. I try to put them in the toughest positions they can be in practice. So when they get into the game, it's second nature. They have to think, but I don't want them thinking too long on something. So, my thing is, if you go up there and you have a brain fart, I just say come off the ball, come off 100%, and just hit the person in front of you. We'll get the mistake corrected after that. But no, there's no such thing as a dumb question. No such thing.
Let's look at the D-line now. What has got you excited about this defensive line?
Well, I tell you what, we're teaching them. We're putting in our base defense, which is a 53, and defensive end in our defense is the hardest position to play on the field. And it's harder than middle linebacker. It's harder than the safety. It's harder than playing corner. They have to be smart because not only do they have to take on power, they have to take on trap. They got to stop sweep. They got to stop quarterback rollout. So it's a very hard position for them to play. But we're working hard. We're just trying to get good at fundamentals right now.
Talk about some of your key players on the defensive line.
Nose guard, like I mentioned before, would be Josh Huckabee. He really showed me a lot in the first scrimmage. Elijah Gallagher is going to be one of the ends. He's really, really strong and fast, and looking for big things out of him. The weekend right now, the job is pretty much still open. We're looking at a bunch of people there. Down linemen, talked about Yusuf Poindexter, Jonathan Meadows, Andrew Griffin, and we've got about 4 or 5 kids that we're looking at, and they're battling. They're all right there with each other, and they battle every day in practice, and it's going to be nice. We'll have probably 8 or 9 kids that we can choose from at those positions. It's there's some jobs still open.
Why do you think, in closing, that linemen on both sides of the ball, but normally I think offense, but defense a lot too, bond so well together?
Probably because they don't get any credit and they never get their names in the paper. Coach Bradley sticks us down in the little corner of the field, and we do our thing. We call it the hog pen. We go down there, we do our thing. The only time the lineman gets pointed out is usually when they do something wrong, like a holding call or something like that, or they jump off sides. But you never see their names in the paper or on TV or anything like that. And everybody always, it's all the magazine covers. You never see a big old lineman on the magazine cover. It's quarterbacks or receivers or running backs. So I try to make it special for them. In the past, we've got them shirts. We take them out to dinner, sometimes to the Golden Corral, or some place that's got a buffet because we like to eat up front. And so we just try to bond. The football team, Heritage Pioneers, is a football team, but we're a team inside the football team here at Heritage.
Well, I'm always going to give that line credit, Coach, because I know that's where it starts. And it's always a pleasure talking to you. I look forward to doing it throughout the year.
All right, thank you very much, Bob.
We conclude with Brad Bradley. He talks about the district as a whole, his team, his coaching staff, and more. It's Brad Bradley previewing the 2012 Heritage Pioneers on the Sports Buffet podcast.
Time to review before we preview with Brad Bradley, the head coach of the Heritage Pioneers, coach back in the Lynchburg area. And Coach, let's kind of look ahead to the season real quick as a whole. I know we could talk about Brookville, we could talk about Amherst, we could talk about JF, but that most important game right now is Magna Vista. Talk about how ready you feel you guys are right now.
Well, I think we still got one more week to prepare. We finally got to see some film on them. We got some film on Huddle this past week. Gives us an extra weekend to kind of prepare for them. I think we match up pretty well against them, and they're a spread team. On their offensive side of the ball, they kind of mirror us. It's like looking in a mirror at our offense. They run a lot of the same things that we run. Defensively, they're more of a 3-4 team, similar to what we will do some here and there. So really we have a lot of similarities between us and them. At the end of the day, it's about us being able to play our game of football on offense and defense, play fundamentally sound, eliminate mistakes, and win the turnover battle and win the special teams. And, that early in the season is something that people, take for granted, but that's something that can be huge early in the season. First, second, third game is the special teams. So that's something we really need to concentrate on the next couple of days, next couple of weeks.
How comfortable do you feel like the coaching staff's gotten with the players and the players have gotten with the coaching staff?
I think it's coming along. Like I said, most of these guys have been around my staff, have been around these players since March. We brought Coach Broggin in, probably the last person I brought him about the middle of April maybe. So everybody's been here, myself, Coach Broggin, Coach Morgan, Coach Earich, and Coach Meadows. We've all been here since March working with these kids. So I think they're finally starting to figure out what we're expecting of them, our expectations, and, what we want to do X and O wise, fundamental or philosophies on offense, defense, and special teams.
And you always talk good about your coaching staff, but you really talk good about this coaching staff. I think you like the mix. Talk about the guys that you have and how you feel that this could be one of maybe the stronger coaching staffs you've had.
I've had some great coaching staffs. When I was at Campbell in 2001, 2002, I had Trent Sherman. I had Matt Versluis on there. Matt Versluis is now an assistant down in Georgia. Trent Sherman is now the principal in Martinsburg, West Virginia. In 2005, 2006, and 2005, 2006, I had Coach Van Acker, which is Jared Van Acker, which is now the head coach at Grafton. Coach Erich's been on my staff for a while. Coach Meadows was on our staff for 2 years at Campbell, 1 year at Amelia. I think I really had a really good football staff at PH. That's one of the few things that I felt like was definitely a bright spot at PH. We had a tremendous staff. Jay Ferris, which is now the defense coordinator at Patrick Henry, was offered some head coaching jobs this year. Brandon Kelly, which is now an assistant coach at Lord Botetourt. We had some guys like that. This group right here, I'm really happy with. Coach Broggin obviously played for me. He's working with our quarterbacks and our defensive backs, doing a tremendous job. Coach Romero Morgan actually played for Coach Meadows back in 1997 when they were runner-up in the state championship game. And then Coach Meadows and Coach Earich I've been with. and then we have two guys on the 9th grade, Coach Dwayne Morgan, Coach Jason Bateman, and then on the 10th grade we have Coach Jamel Harris and Coach L.G. Parrish. But my varsity staff I've been really, really happy with, and I think we've meshed well. Coach Romero Morgan's been in the weight room with us since March. He went to a couple clinics with us. Danny, played for me for 4 years, been around me forever. I've been with Coach Earich and Coach Meadows for a while. Coach Meadows kind of took over a lot of the secretarial duties, the stuff that needed to get done while I was making my transition back and forth from Amelia to Heritage. So, I think that everybody here has a lot to put into the staff, and I think really meshes well together.
Is Broggin farther along as a coach now than you thought he would be?
Oh, I definitely think so. I mean, not that I didn't think he would be, but I definitely think he's farther along than I ever imagined he'd be, and that's a pleasant surprise. But I tell you what, he's a tremendous young man. I told him he's even better coach than he was player, and he was a tremendous player for us. So, I think that's saying a lot about Danny. He's got a tremendous work ethic. It's just, I told my wife the other day, man, it's just amazing having him here, seeing him doing some of the things. Not only did he learn with us at William Campbell, but also what he learned at Liberty playing for Coach Rocco and the Flames. So, it's just really, really pleasing to see how Danny goes out there, interacts with these kids, and he's a great motivator. Coach Meadows says it every day. That guy's a motivator. He does a great job motivating our football team, getting them ready for practice, getting them ready for games, and he knows his X's and O's. He knows what to do. He's not that kind of guy that's going to leave out of there as soon as practice is over. He knows what he has to be able to do. He knows that he needs to be able to do laundry. He knows he has to be able to do this, trash duty, whatever. So he doesn't forget those little things. And a lot of young coaches don't worry about those things and don't think they're important, but the older coaches know that that's what makes a great assistant coach sometimes.
Let's talk about the schedule real quick. Touch on your non-district games.
Non-district, we have Magna Vista first. Really, that's the only one I care about at this point in time because that's who we play first. But then we play EC Glass, which is a non-district game since we play them twice this year. We have Halifax and we have Martinsville. I think Halifax will be much improved with Mike Work there. Mike Work's a good friend of mine, and I know he'll do a great job in turning that program around, getting them ready to roll. Martinsville's been on the rise the last couple of years. Magna Vista's been in the heat. They've been in the hunt. So that's something, that we're trying to get to that point. They've been to that point. So, they say they lost a lot of kids here and there. But, the thing about what they've got going on at Magna Vista is their coach he's got the program turned around. He's got it facing the right direction. He's got a tradition going. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that kid at quarterback or that kid at tackle. It's just that program. So, and they've had their way with Heritage the last couple of years. So, that's something we're looking forward to. But I definitely think, EC Glass obviously is that third game of the season for us. The second game we're off. That's a huge game. It's a rival game. We can't lose that game. We must win that game. I mean, that's how it is. I mean, that's how it was when I was at William Campbell Gretna. That's how it was when I was at PH playing William Fleming. That's what it's supposed to be like. And, that's what we hype it up all the time. And, right now, all the thing we've talked about since day one on June the 30th is talking about Magna Vista. That's the only thing we're worrying about right now.
You can answer this politically if you want, but I've never known you to be a political guy. You've got EC Glass twice this year, obviously a district game and then a non-district game. I know you pretty well, I think. I don't think you're thrilled by that.
No, I don't think that Coach Martin is either. I don't think the previous head coaches probably are, but it's just the way it worked out. I didn't make the schedule, and I've been an AD before, so I understand how scheduling gets sometimes. So that's just the way it is. Next year we're not playing each other twice with the new alignment the way it is, but at the end of the day, Coach Storm and I, my athletic director, are having enough problem right now trying to find games. We need 2 or 3 games next year. I don't like it, but I also understand it. At Patrick Henry, we were going to play William Fleming twice a year just for the money aspect. So, as the head football coach, not being the athletic director, I don't have that say. I do what my athletic director tells me, and I've got a tremendous athletic director in Mark Storm, and that's just the way it is. I think that after this year, playing them once will be a better opportunity, a better game, hopefully a better draw. But I think Coach Martin would agree, we just want to get both schools, Heritage and EC Glass, back to the point where that Heritage EC Glass game is a big deal. Being at Campbell for 9 years, the first year we played Gretna might not have been a big deal. Second year it was a little bit bigger deal. Third year, it was packed house. Right. And it was a packed house all the way through 2002, all the way to 2008, 2009. And, William Fleming, PH has always been a big deal. We want EC Glass and Heritage to go back to, when Bo Henson was there, when EC Glass and Heritage, everybody came. I mean, I've been in Lynchburg roughly 11, 12 years now in this area. And there's nothing better to do on a Friday night and come watch Lynchburg and Heritage play. Watch EC Glass and Heritage play here in Lynchburg, Virginia. So I do like that opportunity. It gives people twice the opportunity to come watch us play. But at the end of the day, I think that, a rival game is supposed to be played once a year. You don't see Alabama, LSU playing twice a year during the regular season. You did see it this year during the national championship. But, you don't see Auburn and Georgia playing twice. You don't see Tech and Virginia playing twice. But, I understand it. It's a schedule issue, and, that's what we got right now, and that's what's on our schedule, and that's what we're going to play, and that's what we're going to prepare for.
Again, I know you're a one-game-at-a-time guy, but looking ahead at the district, how much do you feel like you know about the Seminole at this point, or is it going to be we'll worry about each game prior?
Well, I think that in the Seminole, you have the best team and one of the best teams in AA. The Division III state champions. You have Brookville Bees, and to be the best, you got to beat the best. So everybody right now is coming in second place. Brookville is theirs to lose. Fortunately, I've been in that position before where you got that target on your chest. That's what you want. So I think right now, I'm not going to be Lane Kiffin and put myself number one. I'm going to put Brookville up there number one because they won the state championship last year and they're coming back. After that, I think Amherst is one of those teams that's been in the hunt every single year. And I don't see a reason why we can't be fighting for that I guess preseason second position with Amherst and so on and so forth. But also you got Rustburg, which is a daggone good football team. Jefferson Forest, Coach Rice has done a tremendous job over the last couple of years. You've got EC Glass. There's no Liberty. Coach Watts is a tremendous coach. I'll be honest with you. I feel like that from top to bottom, bottom to top, this is one of the best districts in the state. That was one of the things that really allured me here. I'm really glad to be here. I don't think that when you talk about at the end of the year, the last place Seminole team could beat a lot of teams in a lot of AA districts. So, I definitely think that it's a wide open race. I think I'm not ranking anybody but the first preseason person, and that's Brookville because they deserve that. They're defending state champions. After that, we have to play for all those things.
Final thing for you. Always love talking to you. Can't wait to do it more throughout the season. A lot of coaches will come in and say, this is a 3-year plan, 4-year plan to get us back where we want to get to. How long of a plan is this to get Heritage where you want to get them? And I think you've said this before, but I'll let you say it again. This is kind of a dream job for you, so to speak.
Well, I definitely think number one, the future's now. We have to be able to prepare our kids, put the team on the field that we need now. Obviously, we're looking 4 years back. You always look 4 years back because you look at that freshman class. You look at that freshman class, you see what they got. We're real happy with our freshman group this year. We got over 30 kids. I love the fact that Coach Storm keeps our freshman team. We keep our freshman team by themselves. We have to go out, and it's a little bit harder for him to schedule games, but it's tremendous. It's a tremendous experience for our kids to be able to play as a freshman and play as a sophomore, then they're ready as a junior. If they're ready to play for us as a freshman, which doesn't usually happen, then they can move up on the varsity. If not, they play on the freshman year that year, move up as a sophomore. So, but as a plan, my plan is 2 weeks. We got to beat Magna Vista. That's just how it is. In the future, I feel like that this is a definitely, we look at the freshman class this year, we say, all right, what's our 4-year plan? Next year, we look at the freshman class, what's our 4-year plan? So I think that's always a 4-year plan where your freshman group is, what your sophomore group is. And I feel really fortunate this year. I think we have a really strong senior group. Junior group's a pretty good group. I think they're a pretty strong group. They got a lot of kids that are going to be back for us next year as a junior. Sophomore group's probably our weakest group, just in the 4 groups. But at the same time, we got a lot of kids working. Got a pretty good group. I think we're 16 to 22 there. And then we got that freshman group that's here. And I think we got a very, they haven't even scrimmaged yet, but on the practice field, just seeing what they've done in the weight room, I think we have a very talented 9th grade group. So I think that bodes well for our future here at Heritage. But, like I said, any coach that doesn't tell you they're trying to win this year is crazy. I have been in that position where I think, you want to be 3 years down the road, but I've also learned that lesson. You got to be your futures now. It's not fair to these seniors. These seniors have worked for 4 years. They've done everything they can to be in a position to have a good season, and that's what we're doing this year. We're working for those 2013 seniors.
And for those people that would maybe tell Heritage kids, hey, Bradley's only going to be around for a year or two, I take it they're dead wrong.
That's dead. I'm done. The whole thing. I think it was the right time to leave Campbell. I don't regret leaving Campbell. I loved Campbell. Campbell was a tremendous place. The people were great to me. I still keep in touch with a lot of people, not just players, not just coaches, not just administrators, parents, people in the community. Tremendous. I was there 9 years. It was a great experience. It was time to leave. Just didn't take the right job coming out. Maybe in hindsight, maybe should have waited for Heritage or something else to come open to see. But, I think life is about experiences. And, I think everything happens for a reason. I got great experience at Patrick Henry on a lot of different levels. I got to be the athletic director at Amelia this past year, and they treated me extremely well. A job that I cherish. With the people I met there, I still keep in touch with a lot of people. The SRO there, Will Jones, was a huge confidant of our program, fundraised for us and did a lot of things for us. So I've taken a lot of things from both those jobs. But in terms of somebody asking about here, I plan on being here till they fire me. I love this place. We just got a tremendous principal. We lost a tremendous principal in Mark Meyer to Campbell County. Bobby Johnson went there and just started, he tried to steal my principal from me. Rob Arnold over there, they both principal thieves is what they are. But I think that's a great thing for Mark. He got the chance to move up. But we got our associate principal as our principal now, Tim Beatty. He's from Roanoke City, and Tim played football at William Fleming. He played at Hampton-Sydney. He's a huge New York Giant fan, but we'll look past that right now. But I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, man, we know at least for the next 2 or 3 years, and I hope he stays even longer than that. But Mark Storm is the best athletic director out there. And, doing that job for a year, I can appreciate a lot of things that he does. And it's a thankless job, and he does it well. So I'm really happy. I've got a staff together. I think that'll get better. Facilities are bar none. There's even talk in the future, in the next 4, 5, 6 years, having maybe a new school. So to have a chance to maybe be a part of that and have input in that, I think that the future's huge here at Heritage High School.
Coach, great to have you back in Lynchburg. We'll talk throughout the season.
Thank you very much.